I came into foster care 3 years ago, and when I came in state custody, they asked me, do I like a lot of people around, or do I like a family setting? And I told them, since I was used to partying and everything, I told them that I would rather be around a lot of people, and I didn't know that would end up putting me in residential. And then a while being in residential, I ended up having a kid come in residential, and they told me that foster care was a lot better, so I asked my social worker about foster care, and she said she could arrange it for me to be in foster care. So
when I came into foster care, I cried for like 2 weeks because it was a different environment. I wasn't used to being away from my family. I just felt like my world was crashing down. Like, it was a sad experience for me.
My journey in out-of-home care started when I was about 7 or 8. My mother had passed away when I was about 7 years old. It made it really tough. My dad took it really hard, made it really tough for him. He had some experiences with substance abuse and was no longer able to care for my sisters and I. And so that started my journey in out-of-home care.
Coming into foster care, I was taken away from my family due to abuse, physical abuse.
The day I came into foster care was the day my mom was using, substance abusing, and we came in July 31st of 2008.
What brought me into the foster care system was my mother being physically, emotionally, and mentally abusive. The lack of care that I was getting at my mom's house and from my family.
I have no idea why. I've been asking since I came into foster care. That's when I was 3. Haven't got any clear answers on it, so I'm just as clueless as you guys are now. I really don't know.
It got to a point to where he was getting really violent. Like, I guess he was getting aggravated. And he got to the point to where he was beating me up and my brother up. I mean, every time, there was nights we were sleeping, all of a sudden, wham, hit me. And it's just like, I'm sitting there trying to cover myself up and he's there hitting me for no reason. And he would just go back to his room and sleep. And when my brother and I sit there like, okay, what did just happen? I mean, there were other times to where he would come to my room and do things that technically a father would have never done to a daughter. That's the way I look at it. But, you know, and it went on for years. And until this day, I'm still surprised I've been able to cope that, and I wasn't able to talk to anybody about it until I got into foster care. But, I mean, it went on for years. I was in middle school. We started middle school 6th grade. I started middle school 6th grade. That was my very first year in school. And then, I mean, as the years progressed, it got worse and worse and worse to the point where if I went to school, I am not allowed to talk to anybody. I'm not allowed to have friends. I'm not allowed to do nothing. And I mean, I was an A student, straight A's through middle school and my first years of high school. And it was still not enough. I mean, I will bring my report card home. He will take it and rip it off and throw it away. I mean, it got that bad. And my brother, well, I'm not gonna say he's a little slower. There were times for him to, you know, he needed more help, and I was trying to help him. But I mean, there were times where we're sitting at the table and my dad's like, you need to do your homework. And my brother was sitting there doing his homework, and I mean, he would just grab him and just throw him on the floor like he was a doll and kick him, and it was really bad. It was really, really bad. I mean,
12 years old was kind of like a really rough year for me because at that point in time, I had gotten raped by these 3 men. I have no idea who they were, where they came from, and why they chose me out of everyone, but you know. And it was the most horrifying, one of the most horrifying experiences that I've ever went through. I mean, I can, even when I talk about it, it just takes me right back there. It takes me back to this hallway. It takes me back to the feelings, and you know, remembering and reliving like having like hammers shoved in me and having hair pulled and stuff. And I remember walking outside and I'm freaking out. I'm 12, okay, like barely into 7th grade. And I remember looking at my mom and I just want somebody to hug me. I mean, you know, that's pretty scary. And I remember her looking at me and being like, "You're a slut, you asked them to do this, I'm not taking you home." And I'm like, what? And so I literally walked maybe 4 or 5 blocks with just blood everywhere, hair out, semen all over me. And I got, excuse my French, but I got pretty pissed. And I came home and just went off. It was just done. And I remember breaking windows. I remember punching her and punching my mother in the throat. I remember just wilding out. And that led me to be hospitalized for a little bit. And they put me on these stupid medicines. And I only use the word stupid just because I think I think it helped a little bit, but I also think that, you know, they gave me depression medications, but I had a right to be depressed. You know, most adults don't have to experience rape and sodomy, not even at their age. And so just imagine just going through that at 12.